Good morning, Mr. Ashok. How are you, sir? Always appreciate you being on here. You know, it's always interesting when you see the live role-playing sessions, you just see the attendance tank, right? Everyone sends their otter notes. And look, your ability to communicate what you do and how much it costs and what people get out of it is the most valuable skill you own. You got to remember, you got to make the sale to get the commission, right? If you can't make the sale, you're losing out on commissions. So the first thing that I want to go through today, and we did this more as a roundtable discussion, is I had a person I was speaking to at this event. I was at New Jersey, and she was working with an athlete, and subsequently their financial representative just flat out said, will you do it for 4%? Well, she was used to doing it for 5%, right? She kept 3, gave out 2. But the reality is she only charges 3%. She doesn't charge 5%. So we need to get the idea of decoupling, as they would say, what we charge versus what the seller pays, and then figure out the buyer's agent's commission together. So a few people, unmute yourself. What do you charge?
5%. Oh, you mean for myself?
Anybody?
Only 3% for myself.
Danielle, what do you charge?
6%.
Say that again?
6. Oh, total. Sorry, 3% for me.
No, you don't charge 6%, right? You charge 3%. There is
Yes.
no total anymore. Corey, what do you charge? And meet yourself.
5% usually, 5.5.
No, you do not charge 5%. You charge
Sorry. 2.5. 2.5.
2.5%. Ashok, what do you charge?
2.5%.
Perfect. Debbie, what do you charge?
3.
What's that?
3.
3%. Victoria, what do you charge? You got to mute yourself. Everyone unmute. 2.5%. Fruze, what do you charge?
Reoccurring clients 2.2 and 2.5.
Got it. Lenny, what do you charge?
3%.
Bingo. Mai, what do you charge?
2.5 or 3.
Got it. Andres, my man, what do you charge?
3.
Jeff Lang, come on down. What do you charge?
Good morning. 3 to 3.5%.
Bingo. Andrea, what do you charge?
2.5 or 3.5%.
Bingo. Diane, what do you charge?
I start with 3 if I have to negotiate down to 2.5.
Perfect. Cindy, what do you charge?
2.5.
Bingo. Okay. Practice saying that, charge 2.5. You don't charge 5, you don't charge 6, right? So one of the things you have to realize is if it's $1 million house, do you want to ask somebody to make a $30,000 decision or a $60,000 decision? Micro decisions, right? Great. So for the services offered here, like you can use their seller checklist, it is 3%. Now, we will choose together what we offer a buyer's agent or a buyer, right? I have some clients that want to use the word buyer because it's really an incentive to the buyer, right? If the money is going to the buyer, it's not going to the agent, right? If Jeff Lang and Ashok are buying a house together as an investment, and if the money the seller is giving, whether it's a concession, a commission, whatever the hell you want to label it, it's an incentive for them because guess what? People have to pay for what they use. If you want Chuck in the truck realtor with no resources, no technology, access to no off-market properties, go ahead and pay 1% by all means. You still have to pay something. But if you want a professional agent that has access to $1 billion technology platform, off-market opportunities, and a streamlined network of professionals that they can collaborate with and create a better experience, you have to pay 3%, right? So I had someone the other day come in here and talk about consulting. They saw, like, it's crazy. It was the first time ever that I had in my business like a sign call, right? So they came in, we started talking. And they said, this is really expensive. And I said, look, we are at the absolute higher end of consulting. It's like, look, the Four Seasons, respectfully, the Four Seasons isn't for everybody. It's not. Just like you're not for everybody. The people that don't want to invest money, you're not from them. The people that don't understand what they're getting for the money they pay, you're not for them. And then you go through the buyer's agent scenarios. Now, I think this is a really important data point. I don't know either way if when the changes happen on August 17th, they're going to delete the historical data of what buyer's agent's commission was offered. If I were you, I would start downloading all of this information for at least the last year. And then I would stick it into ChatGPT and analyze, right? BA equals buyer's agents, like you train, you tell it what it's looking for and then say what the average was, right? And then out of it, I would say what percentage was 2%, what percentage was 2.5%, what percentage was 3%, what are the correlations between the incentive offered and days in the market? You can literally upload data and ask it all of these questions, and it's going to give you the answers. Do you know how smart you'll look on a listing presentation when you could show up with something beautiful? It says, hey, here's traditionally over the last 12 months in your price point or in this market, how buyer's agents commissions translate to average days on market, list price to sales price, and if it has any impact. And I guarantee you there's some of them that, you know, there's always those anomaly properties that offer out like no commission. There's always that one, right? See how those compare to the other ones, right? I would print that one out. All right, I feel like we are really on a roll today. Questions, comments, concerns? Lenny.
Question. Yeah, so I love the idea about going back for the last year and pulling that data. So what happens as we move forward, right? And that historical data, you know, in other words, you can't go back 12 months after that, right? It's going to start to dwindle. What do you see happening in 6 months past August 17th?
You'll only have the historical data. We have no idea how any of these things are going to be shown. None. Nope. You have no idea. So you're going to have to pull from historical data, and then moving forward, it is what it is. Listen, you got to love the DOJ, right? They want to govern cases where people are suing them for wrongdoing. What they're doing, in my opinion, is the definition of what they're avoiding. Like this isn't a communist country. Lenny owns a home. How can I tell him when he should put the house on the market, how he can offer out sales incentives? And they want to stop the steering, right, of properties based on commission. Well, guess what? If I don't have money, I need to go to properties that have an incentive, right? If I want to buy something from a brand and I can't afford it, I have to wait for a sale. This is not rocket science. Actually, what they're doing is the definition of what they're claiming we're doing. Does that make sense?
They always.
Andrew, question. You
I
have your
lost it because you got me going with the DOJ coming after us crap. They're very big on projecting,
Yeah.
but I've forgotten what I was going to ask. I'll come back to it when I recall.
What's the best way to, I know it's gonna be different for everybody's MLSs in all the different markets, but like, I'm just looking on ours and trying to run the stats, and like, there's no way for me to even add in like single agent or the compensation field to see that data that you're referencing.
What happens if you go to agent full?
Like just the individual on each individual listing?
Yeah.
Well, they're there, but like I know what you're saying, like export all the data, add it as like a column.
Yeah. Well, look,
Okay.
here's the other thing. You can upload PDFs to ChatGPT. So I would highlight all of them and just upload all of them.
Okay, it's a lot.
No, what's a lot is not having the information. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're able to, depending on the website, do you have a Mac?
Mm-hmm.
You could hit command and highlight a bunch of them or click a bunch of them at once and see if you could batch upload. Hold on. I'll tell you right now while we're doing it.
May I ask a question? How are you obtaining that site information if it's not being publicly made?
It is publicly made today.
You're saying it's on Agile file? No, today, but moving forward.
I don't know.
You're
So
saying
here's
for the
the
next
other
year.
thing. You have to work with what you have, right? Like we have this historically up until this date. Going forward, we don't know what it is. So there's the National Association of Realtors is the largest trade organization in the world. They have no information for all of us. The only thing they say is they're going to continue a witch hunt of if you're sharing this and you're not supposed to do it, we are going to find you. So Danielle, you can click upload from computer, and then you could highlight all of these things and upload them all at once.
Damn, ChatGPT.
Listen, I'm telling you, if I were all of you, I would take some of the time that I went on Instagram or I did stuff, and I'd be sitting here every day just typing in random things, using this data analysis. There's just so much you could get. Think about how much manual time you'd have to spend to correlate data of a buyer's agent's commission to days on market and different subsets of data. You could do it in 30 seconds here. Andrea, you got your question back?
Yes, I do. So it's in regards to this. How granular do you get? Like, is it all of the West Side homes and condos, or is it Beverly Hills condos that are 3 bedrooms or more or something?
Listen, if I were you, I would pull all the information that you would just find relevant, knowing it's going to go away. It's like somebody here that knows they're going to leave our coaching. I would tell you to download every material you humanly could think of and keep it, right? So you can have it to use after you have no longer access to it.
Same time with everything. Yeah, I heard it. It's just, that's a lot. It's a full-time job
What, to download all of this stuff?
to slice and dice it. I mean, because then once it's downloaded, now you can't bifurcate anything out.
You don't need to bifurcate anything out.
So that was,
You're only looking at it for one thing. So you got to remember this. Days on market is a data set, right? That's what you're talking about. However, with the recognition of artificial intelligence, it could pull all the words data market. I could load 100 PDFs and I would say, please build into a table where table A is the property address, table B is the days on market, table C is the list price, table D is the sold price, table E is list price to sales price, and table E is the commission. Now you have all these things pulled out. Now I would say, please analyze the data and share with me the correlation between 2% and like, this is how you can do it, right? But it's a process. You got to remember, anything that's in a visual format and words, if you want to pull it into and turn it into a data table, you have AI that can do it. This used to be a full-time job if you had to do it because you needed a person to do it. You don't need this stuff anymore. People on our team are wondering how I'm getting certain things done anymore. Like, we haven't heard from you. Like, well, you're not getting fired. Well, that's for sure. But I'm like, I can just go on ChatGPT. It'll take me 5 minutes to do. It's easier sometimes to go on here and just do this myself than it is even to write an email and guide somebody. It's all about productivity. And don't worry, for any of you that are worried, we'll create the prompts for you in our AI course. By the way, just on a side note, do you know how excited I am about that course in August? Like, holy shit.
yes, we know you're very excited.
You're all gonna be like my son, Dad, please, please, please what? No more AI. I'm like, you'll never hear the end of this because it's going to change the way that people do everything. Everything. Every time I find something new, last night I went through with a client on literally how he could build an entire brand guide with voice and tone and everything through ChatGPT. They'll release the dates in like another week. It'll be in August, but it's not going to be in your normal week 1, week 2, week 3. We're going to double down the days. Like there'll be like a Monday, Tuesday, but there'll be a special schedule for this, as this is the only thing that we're focusing on. And I'm working with the accountability leaders to get some form of live role play in there because people are worried about, August 17th and what's going to happen. Look, all of you are further ahead. But you need to practice. I charge 2.5%. I charge 3%. I charge 2%. And we're going to have to choose together. We can choose together what we offer, if anything. You have to add the words, if anything, to a buyer's agent. And know whatever you do, Jeff Lang, I support you 100%. Then go through the conversation. Michelle, we make it sound so simple, right? Look, it's the number one key to effective conversations. Whatever another person does is their choice. You have no control over it. None. There's a group of people that aren't going to want to pay buyer's agents anything. There are people that still want to do it because they know it's what's always worked. There's another group of people I really don't know. Give me facts and let me make a decision.
And that's what this research is for, those people. And
Yeah,
for
well-
ourselves probably too.
Yeah, well, the other part is, right, if they don't want to pay an agent, there's a couple different ways of going about it. Most of them don't even know what a buyer's agent does, right?
May I say something? This is
Yeah.
exactly how I'm feeling. They don't know. So the history of this is going to be based on the expertise of the listing agent and or what they want to disclose. So even if we have the history for the past year, doesn't mean that we're moving forward with that. This is just a tool to let them know what it was previously and what's actually going to happen in the future. Because everyone has to have a buyer broker agreement now if they have working with buyers.
Yes,
But
so I
we
would
don't
say,
necessarily have that information in the past, right?
look, this is a tool in your tool belt.
Okay.
All that this is. You need to be prepared with information, data, and facts, not feelings when this happens.
When they ask, got it.
I ask, right? So look, one of the questions, if I was role playing this with you, well, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent anything, right? After you go through the different scenarios of offer nothing, everything, okay, great. Like my last question to you is a couple more questions. I'm gonna say, great. So we don't have to pay them anything. How important is your timeline to for when you move? Oh, it's really important, right? Well, why is it important? Great. So have you ever wondered what a buyer's agent does in exchange for the compensation they receive? They're going to say, oh, yeah, I'm curious. And you're going to say, look, and this is all very scripted. I would be like this. I really apologize in advance. There's a lot of things in here that probably aren't relevant or important to you, but this is just the checklist of what I personally do with the buyer, and agents will probably do we hope that they do something similar, right? And just take the time to look over this for a couple minutes and let me know your thoughts. And then they're going to read all the different things, right? Just use your own checklist. And you're going to say, look, if a person with little to no real estate experience that has a full-time job is responsible for everything, do you feel 100% confident that nothing will go wrong? And then here's the $1 million question. Here's a new zinger for you. If you were not able to stay on your timeline and something went wrong, the deal fell through, what are the negative consequences of that? What are the negative consequences of that? And write down the question. And see what they say. Andrea.
So I'm thinking in terms of somebody who's, maybe they are a lawyer, maybe they work with lawyers. Why would I pay for opposing counsel?
You don't. Do you have any other questions? I'm not explaining that. Right? And I would say, Andrew, then maybe the option that's best for you is just offering out some sort of stipend or flat fee. You're not paying for their closing costs, right? So look, do you see how I did that? Why would I do that? You don't. That just diffused the situation really quickly. Why should I hire you? You don't have to. Why should I hire a buyer's agent? You don't. At that point, they're so confused, right?
Yeah.
This is all chess. Check, 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 check. I was teaching my son chess and he was getting very frustrated because I was like, look, I'm playing chess where this piece goes here, then this piece is going to go there. You could move these pieces here. This is like, there's a bunch of variable outcomes, right? I'm saying, no, you don't have to, knowing that the game goes on. It's check. You check me, right? Now you check. Now I'm moving a piece. I'm blocking my check and now I'm putting you in check. No, you really don't have to. What do you think works best for you and your goals? And then the other one, Chirag. Yes. Well, can't you do all of this stuff for me? So there are two schools of thoughts, right? And half the country or more is agency disclosure states. I would be saying in that case, look, are you comfortable giving up all of these things in your representation because you shared earlier, this is what you want to have an agent. And, you know, personally speaking, I don't feel 100% comfortable and confident doing this because I already know all this information about you. It's really weird one day just to forget and be an intermediary. And why would you want to invest all this money into a service where they can't actually represent you once they have an offer? Right? Then there are people going to say they don't care. Great. If I'm doing this other side of work that's not accounted for in what we're charging you for, there's going to have to be an additional fee. Questions, comments, concerns? Once you get the principles of doing this, it gets easier and easier and easier. I'm not saying anything. I'm just giving them options and then giving them data that supports each option. Every company gives you a price based on scope of work, and anything outside of that scope of work is additional.
Attorneys call it extraordinary fees.
What do they call it?
Extraordinary fees?
Extraordinary is the word they use?
Yes.
I've never heard that. And I worked, what's that?
Probate is statutory fees. But if there's something else that they have to do that's slightly outside the scope, it's an extraordinary fee. So they tack it on. And they look for that.
Yeah.
For ways to do it.
So here's the reality, right? Scope of work are things that people know. You need to get good at looking around the room and says, look, like when you did this, like, did they give you an initial price? But if there are additional alterations, it was like, and say, look, it's the same way. You're paying 2.5%, 3% for this type of representation. And if there's anything outside of that, right, working with another party, not you, right? If there's additional stuff for you, we're happy to do anything we can. But if we have to work with another client, it's going to be another set of fees because we have to account for the time and resources that's going to take too. Right. Look, I think there's going to be this whole world of people that list at 3% will say, oh, yeah, if I double end the deal, I'll do the buyer for 1%. And they'll keep 4%. Well, they'll be happy doing it, especially the control freaks in the world. They just want to control the deal. And arguably saying, if you have a bad buyer's agent, you're doing all this stuff anyway.
So Chirag, I have a quick question. We just closed on a property for a client of mine about 6 weeks ago. They moved to Florida. Now they're thinking of coming back, and they want to start looking in September. So they paid 2.8% when they sold their house to the buyer agent. And I'm just now trying to think about how to explain to them that now they are responsible to pay for the buyer commission if if the seller is not offering any compensation, which is they just 2 months ago they paid 2.8% to the buyer as a seller. So it's kind of tough to.
Well, again, there's nothing tough about it. It's that a homeowner has always had a right not to pay a commission, right? In other MLSs around the country where these changes have taken effect, they haven't seen much change to the commissions. And that was the big problem the Department of Justice had, is they said, this isn't changing anything we wanted to change. And look, in the end, it's like if you're going shopping and you want to buy from a designer brand, but you don't have all the money to pay for one, you just have to shop for ones that are on sale. That's it. You don't say they have to pay commission because you don't know if they're going to be offered. You're going to say, this is the investment for your services, and we'll do everything we can to collect the money from the seller. Even if they don't offer it, you could write it in the offer. You could put it in as a seller concession, right? And that's it. Look, there are other people that are, look, you have to open your mind up to different ways of doing commission too. I might say, I charge 3%, but if you physically have to write me a check out of pocket, the maximum you'll pay is 1.5. Because you can generally get 1% from the other person, right? So there might be ceilings to this. And where I get really confused is you have all these states and associations saying you can and can't do this. But the last time I checked, you're independent contractors, you're an employee of no one but yourself. You should be able to charge what you want. But again, I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a broker of record anywhere anymore. So please consult your broker and attorney before taking any of the actions suggested today. And there is my full legal disclaimer. And please don't ever mistake that I worked in a real estate attorney's office as a paralegal for a year as me giving legal or real estate advice. These are concepts and theories. I'm kidding. So, but you can see I got the legal language down, right? Somebody's multitasking. Who are you? I can hear you. All right. Anyone have any questions before we have to hop off? Just remember, when you're driving in the car, you got a Corey, Danielle, I charge 3%, I charge 3%, I charge 3%, I charge 3%, I charge 3%. Because if not, you're going to keep saying I charge 6%, I charge 5%, right? Because it's natural. In reality, you never charge 5%.
Can you repeat the other half of what it is that you say about the other side, the buyer's agent side?
What, have you ever wondered what a buyer's agent does in exchange for the compensation?
Part about the actual 2.5 whatever percent offered to them, whatever you decide to do, I support you. That piece.
Oh yeah, you're going to say, look, what I charge for the investment for my services is 3%, and we can choose together if you want to offer out an sales incentive to the buyer and the buyer's agent, if you want to offer out anything at all. And whatever you do, I support you 100%. So Andrew, would it be okay if I go through the 4 different scenarios and let me know which one works best for your goals?
Sure.
And that's it. All right, everybody, with love in my heart, I love you all. I am just so excited about all these changes. I really am. We are, as a community, we are so much better positioned than anyone else in the country. Like literally anybody. If you fast forward and you just keep your head down and just sticking to the plan, you guys have buyer end-to-end systems, seller end-to-end systems. You have all the deliverables, the resources, the scripts, an AI coach, right? What more do you need? And then by the end of August, you're going to know how to do everything you could humanly think of doing to make your life easier through artificial intelligence. So when everyone's like kind of checked out for vacation, and look, I think the biggest mistake that people are making on earth right now in this industry are not taking what's going to happen seriously. You're going to have to learn how to talk better, and you sure as hell are going to have to be more organized on the client experience side. Literally. So we got you. All right, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow at 11:30. See you later. Bye.